Hello, hello, guys. Come on in. Come on in. We are at book club number 15. This is the book. Now, if you've noticed, I have changed the cover so that you can read the name. But this is the real cover. Look how pretty. With the beautiful lotus. But since you often cannot read the name like this, I went to FedEx and printed a new correct way of reading the name to assist in case you were confused. What is that book? What is the title? Here. This is the title. Get it? So now, no excuse to ask what is the damn book's name. Radical Awakening. You got it to read on Audible, my favorite book I've ever read. Prefer the old cover, no worries, it's right here. I love it too. But this is for ease. So if you're reading the book, do leave a review, because reviews on Amazon, the Amazon of Amazons, where people buy books, is where you could leave a review so that others can be attracted to buy it too. When you do go on Amazon, you will see I have either 1 stars or 5 stars. I don't have a lot of 1 stars, but I do have a few. And the 1 stars often are upset with my leftist propaganda. I'm apparently a leftist propagandist. Radical Awakening, too radical. So, this book is radical, but it isn't leftist or rightist or propagandist. It is a cultural commentary on our current culture and a cultural critique on the big gaping hypocrisies of our Western industrialized world, especially as it pertains to women. So, of course, if you are in any way tethered to your cozy bubble, you will think that this is a leftist propaganda machine. So, I don't even know what that even means, but it sounds so fancy. Your leftist propaganda agenda, Dr. Shefali. Anyway, it is really a book about awakening the woman's embedded, asleep, afraid soul. And that's why we chose a lotus, because a lotus grows from the mud. It's surrounded by weeds, and here it is. It is the woman's soul that is embedded in the weeds of cultural conditioning, in the weeds of a cultural patriarchy. What do you mean you don't know who reads the Audible? Is that a tongue-in-cheek comment? Oh, yes, it is. Okay, I was just afraid. I was like, that's me. Because you can't recognize my accent. It's become so westernized. Maybe you don't realize it's me. Okay, hello. Okay, sorry about that brain fart. So it is about a woman's soul that has been steeped in the weeds of Western industrialized cultural patriarchy. Now, when I say westernized, it doesn't mean that the East is better. It's just the entire globe is subsumed in a Western, predominantly Western industrialized capitalist propaganda machine. And the woman's soul within this bubble is buried. And we women, more than men, sorry if I have men in my audience, I'm only talking to we women for a moment, but it's good for men to understand this. We women are buried in that. So even if any one particular woman did not grow up in a controlling household, which I've barely met any woman who has not grown up in a controlling household in some way or the other, it doesn't matter. In the culture, she will be thrown to the wolves. She will be imbibing a controlling, hierarchical superstition over her because that is the culture. So I often say to my friends that in India, I grew up in the most open-minded little nuclear family with liberal parents, modern parents, conscious parents. I had delicious parents. I have delicious parents. But it didn't matter because the neighbors, the auntie upstairs, the piano teacher downstairs, the friend down the road, the movies I saw, Bollywood movies I saw, the school system I went to subsumed me in the Western industrialized standards of its propaganda. My word for today is propaganda. I will try to introduce it into my speech. Let's see how many times I can. So the woman doesn't have a chance, right? It is an unconscious trickling down from the Western propaganda machine. So she is prey to its spray, right? It's around, the cultural ambiance is around her nursery, around her first grade. It's just around the energy of her existence. Recognizing it is the first step for awakening. The first step to awaken is to understand we are part of a cultural machine. And we are pawns to this cultural machine. If we do not understand this, how to wake up? So, the first part of this book is called Being Asleep in the Matrix, to help you understand that you're in a matrix and you're asleep. Hello? You're asleep. You've been asleep. So a lot of my work with clients is to help them understand that they've been asleep. They're like, thank you very much, Dr. Shefali, let us pay you your fee. Thank you for telling me I've been asleep. I go, you're welcome. That is a legit first step, okay? No joke. It is the first step, is to become aware that you've been asleep. If you're not aware, we cannot do anything about the slumber. First step is awareness, which pisses everybody off because they're like, I thought I was aware. No, you thought. Thinking is not awareness. Thinking is being in the bubble of the thinking. Becoming aware is to realize that your thinking was contaminated, that your thinking was infected. Infected by what? Infected by the cultural patriarchy. So, this entire book is a wake-up call to men and women, especially women, that, hey, you're being played. You're being played and you don't even realize it. Client after client after client, I can tell you, one after the other is subsumed in unworthiness. Today I told the client that she was stunning, gorgeous, beautiful, not from the outside, from the inside. And she's just freaking mind-blowingly wise. And she looked at me, she said, obviously you'll say that I'm paying you. I was like, okay, Miss Ego, her ego, her false self was not going to allow her to take in my worth. So I said, I'm not playing with your ego. You know, your ego is too smart. You're right. I'm only saying it because you're paying me, right? So this is what our false self feeds us every day, that you are unworthy. So the unworthiness is the viral infection, right? It is the virus. It is the pandemic. What is the global pandemic, Dr. Shefali? Unworthiness. And it is unworthiness from a very systematic, capitalist, toxic patriarchy that dominates women, people of color, children, animals, the earth, and scorches it. Within that mix is also men. Men suffer too. But women suffer differently. God forbid I say more. So very, very differently. So this book is an articulation for how women suffer differently. And until women understand and identify God, bloody, I should have said God and bloody in the same sentence. Oops, let's erase that. Edit. If we don't bloody understand just how we have been played. How can we identify it? How can we identify? So half my work is to help people understand this inner psyche, to go, oh, no, that's not you. That is alcoholic father. That is narcissistic mother. That is unconscious teacher. That is boss who is caught up in greed and dominance and his ego. No, let us understand who the players are in your internal perpetration. If you're not aware, you cannot identify. If you cannot identify, you cannot disrupt. If you don't disrupt, there is no change. So this book is a very systematic, in case you're wondering, radical awakening. It is the process to awaken. So this client who I gave the feedback to, it wasn't even a compliment. I was telling her how amazingly worthy she was and she shut me out. Her ego shut me out. I said, go read the book. What do I do when I read the book? I said, every page reflect. Every page write a journal page because it's you. This book is every woman. May not be in every word, but it's pretty much every woman who wishes to awaken. Yes? Not the woman who wishes to stay asleep. So this book is a wake-up call and the process of how to come to the other side. A lot of what I write speaks to the unconscious messaging that we women have unconsciously taken as our own. And it is not ours to own. It's been shoved in there without permission, without consent, trespassed into our psyche. And we're robotically just living it out. Okay, I'm unworthy. I'll let you control me. So when we don't own who we are or how we've been asleep or how it is we are to wake up, we allow the trespassing of our soul to continue. So in my life, because I was not yet fully awake, you'd wonder, after 20 years of doing it, I would have been awake. But no, I was still asleep in some ways because I was asleep to my unworthiness. I was asleep to my full power. Right? I was asleep to how my unworthiness was keeping me from my full power. I was only half powerful, not full. I didn't fully believe I could be fully powerful. I allowed myself to be freaking influenced and controlled. And I had to say no more. Right? I allowed myself to critique myself. I allowed myself to play small. Allowed myself to play dim. Because I fully wasn't in my power. And that is what this book is about for you. For you, woman, out there. You know, people ask me, why is this book different? Or how is this book different? And I go, oh, you have no idea. First, it's different on a radical level because it speaks to culture and it speaks to all women, not just mothers. And then I have to tell you, it's a very personal book for me. Not because it's my personal story. Who cares about my personal story? That's my personal story. Great. It's very personal to me because I'm a girl's girl, you know, like I go to bat for sisters and I want women to rise, you know. I don't know what that's called. It's more than a feminist, right? It's just I love women so much and I love men too. There will be a book about men, but I'm first a woman, so I identify with what the hell we go through, Most of my clients are females. You know, I only have 5 daring males in any 1 month. You know, most of my clients 99% of my clients are females. Why? Because the female is the nurturer. The female is the one who feels the pain. She has to bear the burden and she has to create the change. So I see women. I see you. I deeply, deeply care. No, really, like I'm shocked at how like this book is so personal to me. It's not a book, it's a message. It's a gift for my sisters to wake up, and I will do whatever it takes to get this gift out there to sisters because I see women suffering. I've seen myself suffer over bullshit that I believed in that wasn't true. So when I see other women suffer, it gets me, it bothers me to the point that I must create change. So that's what I'm trying to do. So in this book, I talk about how we are plagued by standards of perfection, by standards of niceness. Be nice, be nice, be nice, be nice, be nice, be nice. The worst message I received as a child is be nice. Oh my God. It killed me, as if I wasn't going to be nice. I don't tell my daughter to be nice. I don't even tell her be kind. The new euphemism for nice is kind. Be kind. I don't have to tell her to be kind. I don't have to tell my kid to be anything. Because if she feels it and she's connected, she's going to be that. Now, if she's not nice, then we deal with what's the underlying insecurity, the underlying psychosis, the underlying illness. Telling a kid be nice, be nice, be nice. Really, you know what that is? Is shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Just go with it, go with it, go with it, go with it. Yeah? So now if anybody says to their kid, be nice, I go, no, why are you saying that? Where's that insecurity coming from within you? You don't think your kid is nice? Why? Because your kid is angry? If your kid is angry, they're not nice? You don't have to tell your kid to be nice, be kind, be sweet, be good. Even be good, you don't have to tell your kid. Do you know that? I raised my kid without religion. Okay, kill me. Because I didn't need religion, because we grow up in the cosmos of the divine universe. So that's my religion. So I didn't raise my daughter with any specific ism. And people would come to me and say, well, how will she learn to be good? I go, she ain't going to learn to be good through anyone scaring her to be good. She's going to learn to be good if she feels it, if she's connected to her heart, if she's within herself. And if she's not good, then there's a sickness in there, and that is what I will have to treat. But being good is not going to help anything. So we have euphemisms that are really hypocrisies and band-aids for really cultural suppression of our children. Like, be quiet, get along, make me feel good, please everybody, avoid the conflict, don't be a rabble-rouser, don't make noise. That's what be nice is. Because you don't have to worry. The kid will be exactly how connected she is or he is to their heart. And if they're not, so be it. You do what you need to do, I tell the parents, right? Don't talk, be nice, be nice, be nice. Women, especially girls, young daughters especially, are told, be nice, be nice. Be nice? What be nice? I have to be true, right? So I've replaced nice with authentic, right? Don't be kind, don't be nice, don't be good, don't be bad, don't be anything. Just be you and be real. And if that takes you to wearing designer shoes when you're older, wow, wonderful. And if it takes you to living in a hut on the shores of a dried up riverbank, that's what it is. It's you. It's your life journey playing out. So this book is a paradigm buster, and it moves us to understand how it is we women have been plagued. So we women have been plagued by this dictum of be nice, and then we've been plagued by the dictum of perfectionism and the unworthiness, and shut up, don't talk too much, and don't create trouble, and look amazing when you do it, but amazing according to what we tell you is amazing. Not healthy, not fertile, biologically speaking. Fit the cultural standard of beauty. So for this week, in honor of the many bazillion ways I have felt subjugated by the beauty standard, I'm going to come to you makeup free. Okay? Now, makeup is amazing. It's lovely. It can be amazing. Sorry, it isn't on its own. It can be lovely. Play with it. Put some lipstick, put some blush. But it cannot be dictated to us. So as my little rebellion against being told for years how to look, no farcity, no cover up, just for this week. Next week, I will go back to it if I need to. So why am I not wearing makeup, right? It's because for years, decades, generations, we women have been plagued by the idea that we need to look a certain way. Now, biologically, there are underpinnings of truth to the male and the female form and what is needed for reproduction. Put that aside. Culture has plagued us with insane standards of beauty that have nothing to do with fertility, virility, attractiveness, right? Except for youth, right? All of the natural world does angle for younger, for reproduction, because the natural world's predication is reproduction, right? Nature cares about proliferation of its species. So nature is that. So there is some truth to the cultural idea of wanting youth. But nature also allows for natural aging. We don't. So culture has marauded us, especially us women, to fit into a standard of beauty. And the standard, let me tell you, if you don't already know. And I'm sorry if I offend anyone in the wrong way I'm saying it, but I'm speaking bluntly here. The standard has been skinny, young, skinny, and white. Now the white can be tanned, but it needs to be white. So it's a whitified standard of beauty. And of course, the white people are like, no, we like brown. Look, we go to tanning beds. That's not the point. The point is that it is a cultural, whitified standard of beauty. So unless we understand, because when I raise my daughter, who's not white, who's half Indian and half Israeli, brown as can be, I have to, as a mother, understand what she's going to be up against when she looks out there for representation. And I need to help her, as much as I can, blunt the sharp edges of how she doesn't find herself in that representation, right? I need to help her to see that, if I can, if she allows, as much as I can. But I have to understand that for myself, and I have to release that within my own being. If I don't release that glorified, whitified standard of beauty in my own being, and if I don't decimate it, it is going to come through, right? So, I remember, and I'm being honest here, when I came to America at the age of 21, I came, landed, and entered self-loathing. Like, hello, self-loathing. In India, I was fine, right? In India, I was glorified because I had lighter eyes, lighter skin. I was like the cat's meow, right? I thought I had my own issues. But the minute I came here, they unleashed my self-loathing. And I was like, what happened? Suddenly, I do not like my color. I do not like my color, and I'm not understanding why. I'm not understanding why I'm feeling inferior until I understood why I'm feeling inferior. Why? Right? And I went, holy baloney, I have just literally fallen for this idea of beauty. And I spent decades trying to decimate it within my own being. It took forever because everywhere you look, you do not find representation if you're a person of color, a woman of color. Ask any woman of color, she knows. So then you have to decimate it because you don't want your daughters to have it, right? So loathing. Do you understand loathing? Women of color go through it. And I'm sure even white women, even the skinny white standard of whitified beauty, she's going through loathing because it doesn't matter. You know why? Because the fact that we're told there's a standard is the problem. The fact that we're told there's a standard is a problem. And this is what we have to decimate. White or non-white, it doesn't matter. Skinny, tall, young, old, doesn't matter. The fact that we've been told there's a standard, right? Now, in nature, there's a standard of virility. It's symmetry. It's, big butt. The baboons had the red butt. And health, right? Signs of health. If the butterfly is not even symmetrical, they won't mate with each other, right? So nature has its signs for who do I reproduce with. Understandable, because nature's agenda is proliferation of the species. But ours can be too. But ours has gone to such an extreme that it is a complete suppression and an abduction of any representation of who it is we are. Right? I have healthy, young, unbelievably attractive women in self-loathing. Why? Because there is a standard of beauty. And men have co-created it and women have co-created it. And until we understand our participation in the co-creation, we will suffer and our daughters will suffer. We have been asleep in the matrix. We have been fed all this garbage around how to be amazing. And the more we're fed garbage around how to be amazing is the surefire sign that we're going to feel not amazing. So deep and intense self-loathing is the nemesis within our mind. And until we become aware that we are mired in deep and intense self-loathing, we will not be able to break out of it, and certainly not be able to help our children. There is not a woman I have met who doesn't have at least a small, silent, inner voice of intense, deep loathing. So, how do we break out of it? We read books like mine, for example, but we go on a journey. This is not a book. This is a journey of your internal renaissance. This is a journey of your internal revelation, of your internal wake up, of your grand entry portal into your self-worth, into your self-celebration. But you have to first become aware. So people who read this book, who don't like the book, are only not liking it because I'm bursting the bubbles, right? I don't have an agenda, I don't believe in anything much except the laws of nature, which you don't have to believe in, you just have to witness. So the fact that people get upset with a book like this is because they're deeply attached to their belief systems around how things should be, who should be in charge, how or life should live according to a prescription, right? In one of my videos recently, the video is called Who Said That, right? And it's basically asking us to challenge our deeply cherished belief systems. And one of the women wrote in the comments, these are norms of society. And I strongly disagree. Just because they are norms of society doesn't mean anything. The norms of society are created by the unconsciousness of the present culture. And they must not be followed blindly. In Saudi Arabia, when they have women who are persecuted, if they so much so are caught by with a man who is not their husband, that is the norm of that culture. We can look at that and go, that's not okay, right? Or I can look at norms in India and go, no, that doesn't make sense. So we have to look at the norms as a global culture that we live in, this pandemic of a pantheon of beliefs, and challenge them. Just because something is a norm doesn't mean it's right. It is not divinely ordained. So we must have the courage, if we are to change the tide of culture, not just outside of ourselves, but within our own internal minds, to awaken. If we want to change the tide, we must examine what the norms are. Never ever say, oh, this is just the way it's supposed to be. Never accept that, especially if you're suffering. If you're suffering, you ask. You ask, why am I suffering? Where did this come from? Who said that? Why? Right? So it's like, be little Sheldon. Sheldon in The Big Bang Theory? I never watched all of it, but if you YouTube Sheldon, Sheldon, this character, little Sheldon in The Big Bang Theory, I call all my little spiritual warriors Sheldon, because he's always asking, but why? But why? But why? Who said? This doesn't make any sense. And he's thrown out of church, thrown out of Bible study, thrown out of classrooms, because he's considered a troublemaker, right? So intelligent people who challenge the status quo, yes, not intelligent people who go with the status quo, are immediately labeled propagandists, like I have been, or people with an agenda, or troublemakers, or controllers, right? Because we are challenging the status quo. So we women especially, you love Sheldon, we women especially are plagued by cultural standards that, without our realizing, have suppressed us, oppressed us, and caused us to suffer. And it is because we live with an internal murmuration, an internal unyielding inner hum of inner loathing, that we now get enslaved by control from the outside. I remember decisions I have made that I knew in my being were wrong, but I went along with it because I gave that power to someone else. It took me only a decade later to look back and go, what the hell was I doing? You know what I'm talking about. You've done this too. You knew not to listen. You knew there was an internal honesty about you. You knew who you were, but you ignored it. And this is what we have done repeatedly because it was done to us in childhood. Now we are our greatest abductors. We abduct our own inner knowing. From childhood, we have been abducted from our truth. And so we've just learned to suppress, and live in this lie that we don't know. We don't know, right? When my daughter goes, IDK, I don't know, I go, No, I tell her, no, you know, you just don't want to share. You know, you don't want to dig. What is IDK? Every 2 minutes she writes ID. What do you want to eat? IDK. I go, okay. That just means you don't want to deal. Don't want to deal. That's what it means. And I always tell my daughter, no, you do know. You're just too lazy to find out. Don't play me. I tell her, don't play me. Don't think I'm going to fall into the bullshit that you don't know. Oh, you know very well. Because when we go to the nail salon to choose your nails, you know very well what you want to do. If I tell you have to go study, suddenly you know very well that you don't want to study. So I just tease her. But in the same way, we know. But we've been abducted from our inner knowing because of the lies that we've believed that we need to be nice. We need to not make noise. We need to not think. Essentially, shut up. Shut this whole thing down. Disconnect. Cut yourself and just be a bobblehead. Right? Because we've believed those lies, now it's really hard to access our inner knowing. And we're like, I don't know. So with my clients, I'm like, you know, you've just done to yourself what was done to you. So all around us now, we're surrounded by males and females who have bought into the matrix. So we'll be told stupid things like, why are you angry? Because it's a feeling that I'm allowed to have, right? But with many of the unconscious people in my past life, I cannot even speak to them because they'll be like, why are you so angry? Or why are you so rebellious? Or why are you always in a bad mood? I'm not in a bad mood. I cannot speak to you because your consciousness and my consciousness clash, right? So then I'm just mute. And they're like, oh, you have nothing to say? You don't want to talk? You have an attitude? I'm like, I cannot talk. I cannot talk to you anymore. So this is what happens now when you start waking up and you begin to understand your disconnect and how these people are living in their own disconnect. And you're like, I want to be disconnected from the disconnect. They won't let you, right? They'll give you names. Oh, you think you're all that? That's what I get a lot. Oh, you think you're so fancy now because you're on Instagram? I'm like, no, I just don't know how to talk to your unconsciousness anymore. It's really difficult. But they don't understand. So then you begin to walk away from the matrix and everyone is like, oh, come back. And then they throw stones at you. Then they curse you, right? But until we are willing to do this, we will be abducted because of the lies we've been told. Because we're trying to fit into the norm of the good girl, of the nice girl, of the sweet girl. We don't even think we're supposed to have an opinion. And then we wonder why we're being controlled. So I look back on decisions I made. I can clearly tell you, I gave up my power because I wanted to be nice. I pretended not to know because I wanted to be nice. I shut up because I wanted to keep the peace. Right? Moment after moment after moment of abduction. And then you wake up and you're in your midlife and you're like, oh, I don't even know who I am. Right? But it's never too late. You can begin. So, abduction of the inner knowing is a cultural phenomenon, particularly attacking women. Until we understand how we have believed that this is to be our fate, we will not break out of it. It is not our fate to IDK, I don't know. It is not our fate to give our power to other people. No one needs to have direction over our lives. Sure, we can have a cooperative council of people telling us how to behave, but nobody gets to be our leader. Do you know how long I take sometimes with women to wake them up to their inner leadership? I only took 48 years of my life, but we need to wake up to our inner leadership. We know. We've just so been buried from our inner knowing. We've been so disconnected. And that's why when we are disconnected from our inner knowing, that's when we get abused. Because we are not in our present moment, right? So there have been moments in my life that I have been molested or I've been physically assaulted, and it's not hitting me. It's not hitting me that I'm being assaulted because I'm like, oh, I need to be nice. I'm like a robot. I need to be nice. So 10 minutes pass, and then I realize, bloody bullshit. That was a freaking insult, or that was a put down, or that was and not from ego, hey, to dignify myself. I allowed myself to be indignified so many times because I was a bloody moron. Because I'm like, I need to be nice, and I shut up. So I'm like battling that, and I'm not in the moment, right? And I believe that's what happens to all us women who've been sexually abused. We don't speak up. All my childhood I was sexually molested, left, right, and center. Did I speak up one time? Not one time. I fought them off, but I didn't tell anybody. I didn't go tell my mother. I didn't scream in the party. Why? Because women intuitively know to shut up. Don't create trouble, because this man cannot get into trouble. Let's protect him. So we need to teach our daughters the opposite. I used to practice with my daughter. How will you scream? Show me how you're going to yell. Show me how you're going to come to mommy. Show me how you're going to say no. Show me how you're going to fight. Show me how you're going to hurt the person. Protect. I should, at 4 years old, teach her some kung fu and some yelling to make her practice. Like, you do not take it from anybody. And I used to say, not your grandfather, not your other grandfather, not your grandmother, not your father, not me, not your teacher. I had to go down the line because children don't know. We have to tell them this is not okay, because we're coming from a legacy where women and children are oppressed. And if we don't wake up our children and our daughters to understand how that oppression is insidious, we will not change the pattern. So all our wrong decisions, and I say wrong in quotes because there is no wrong. The wrong takes you to your awakening. But all the times, at least in my life, you can tell me if in yours, that you went off, when you went off your path, it was because you denied your inner knowing. You knew, but you sacrificed your inner knowing for another prize, the prize of the good girl, the prize of being seen as the lovely girl, the quiet girl, right? So we enslave ourselves to the image of the lovely girl, the good girl, the sweet girl, the connector. For that prize, we pay the price. We pay the price of our authentic inner knowing, right? So that's what this book is an homage to, is to wake up to your inner knowing, is to wake up to your truth, to your leadership. You know, nobody's in charge of your life. Yeah, your infant who needs you for its caretaking rules your life. You know, all young mothers are ruled by their infants, but no adult owns you. No adult owns you. Your infant owns you because now you had the infant and the infant needs you. Okay, but no adult owns you. And until I understood that really in my being, like, why am I giving up my power to people who are grown-ups? Why? Because I'm terrified of stepping and claiming my own power. And until we understand that, until you get it, you will keep giving up your power, and I don't want that for you. I want you to come to a place where your power is yours. You're living in it, you're breathing it, you're swimming in it, you're brushing your teeth in it. Your inner power. You know who you are. You've forgotten who you are. Your inner truth is within you. You have forgotten your inner truth. And as long as you forget your inner truth, you will be surrounded by people who have forgotten their inner truth. You will tolerate it because your lostness will be reflected in their lostness. It'll be familiar. Oh, two lost souls. You will not attract people who are connected to themselves because you're not ready for them. You can only be ready for people who are connected to their truth when you are connected to your truth. So if you want to change your patterns around you, don't change the relationship, change you. Change you in the pattern. Change your pattern in the relationship. Don't change the relationship. Don't dump the partner. The partner has nothing to do with it. It's you. We'll keep talking about all this stuff. For now, help me spread the book to women everywhere. A Radical Awakening. I'll be back when I'll be back. No commitment. I'll just show up. So buy the book, A Radical Awakening. Share it with your sisters. Even if you don't like a few pages, I promise you, it will give you a language for your soul. That I guarantee you. Bye, guys.